Storytelling Cafe. And today we are at this very strange time of 1 p.m. UK time, and I don't know where it is, wherever you are in the world, but you will no doubt let us know. However, it is a special program put together mainly by Jackie and Simona, um, to raise funds uh, for two teachers to be trained in to have their CREST training, creative, etc., etc., etc. Creative and engaging stories for teachers. That's it. I think something like that. My brain is hardly functioning at this moment. I've been trying to get enough tests to get on an aeroplane, and then I actually forgot that I downloaded an app. So what is this world of apps? I don't know. However, I'm going to pass straight over to Jackie, and I shall probably disappear during the show, for which I apologise profusely. Right, Jackie.
Thank you, John.
The ship is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, go and get packed, because I know you're heading off soon. So a safe trip, John. Well, welcome everybody. It's really nice to see you all here, and thank you for coming. And I want to, in case I forget later, I want to thank Simona, because really it's Simona who's done all the legwork for this amazing event. And so really a clap to her for organising this before I forget. Well, why did we decide to have this event? Really, it's been a strange 2 years. And now everybody is hoping that 2022 is going to bring a bit more normality, whatever that is. But we don't want to lose all the positive things that happened over the last couple of years. And the World Storytelling Cafe is definitely one of those, but also CREST is another. The Creative and Engaging Storytelling for Teachers course has brought many of us here today together. And what a fantastic thing to have achieved during a global pandemic. So we're here to share our personal and some traditional stories because we are now a community. And we also want to celebrate that and to pass on the joy that we've got from this to some other fellow teachers. So I am delighted to say that we've raised more than enough for 2 teachers to get free places. So well done, everybody. That is fantastic news. I will say the gift page is still open, and we will collect even more money if anybody would like to donate, because it's such a fantastic thing to be able to offer this to one of our colleagues somewhere in the world. But let's get going. And I'm going to pass over to Sarah in a minute, a fellow Scot, but she is now in Spain. So Sarah, would you like to kick us off with a story, please?
Okay. So hello everyone. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to Simona and to Jackie for organizing this fantastic event. I'm very happy to be here and a little bit nervous to be the first person telling a story, but I do have a story I would really like to tell you today. It's a story, funnily enough, I first heard it told by David Heathfield, but I also have listened to other versions and read other versions. And today I'm going to try to tell it a slightly shorter version than usual, so that I don't run over the 5 minutes, that maximum 5 minutes I have. So this is a story called Anansi and the Stories. Now, I'm sure all of you know that storytelling has been around for a very, very long time. However, if we listen to people in Western Africa, they will tell us that there was a time, a very, very long time ago, when there were no stories anywhere in the world. Nobody was able to tell a story, listen to a story, or share a story. And this is because the sky god had taken all the world's stories and he was keeping them up in the sky for himself. As you can imagine, many people did try to go there and get these stories back, but no one was successful until Anansi came along. Now, Anansi, sometimes a man, sometimes a spider, decided that he was going to go and get those stories back. It wasn't easy. Just how he managed would be a story for another day, but he did manage to get all these stories. And he was about to give them back to the people of the world when he was suddenly gripped by greed. And he thought, no, I was the one that did all that hard, dangerous work getting the stories. I'm going to keep them for myself. So he put them in a box, he put a lid on the box, he tied this box onto his front, and he started climbing a tall, tall tree where he thought he could hide the stories. As he did so, this box got in the way. It bumped and thumped and clumped as he was climbing the tree, and it was really uncomfortable. So about halfway up the tree, he started kind of pushing it around onto his back. But as he did so, the lid fell off, and all the stories came out of that box. But they were picked up by the wind, by a breeze, and carried all around the world. So it was that all around the world, stories came floating like snowflakes down to the ground. Now, some of these stories, I'm sure, came floating down over the place that today we call Exeter in England, and also Aberdeenshire in Scotland, and Ireland, and Palestine, and Canada, and of course, all over the world. Maybe some of you know these stories. In fact, I'm sure all of you know some of these stories. So it was that the people of the world once again could tell stories. And years passed, people traveled, they took their stories with them. The stories changed as they were told from one person to another, as they were taken from one country or one region to another. And over the years, the people became aware of the fact that storytelling are so important. They realized many, many things about the importance of storytelling. They realized, for example, that stories can be serious and educational, but also funny and entertaining. That stories can help us to find answers to the questions we have about the world around us. That stories can help us to keep our traditions alive, to pass traditions on from one generation to another, or from one region or one country to another. And well, they also found that stories are just such a wonderful way of bringing people together to share and to create community. And so this story is my thank you to David for his huge part in bringing all of us together to create this wonderful community, online community of storytellers and teachers around the world. And also to all of you who are also part of this community. So thank you. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Sarah. Thank you very much. Thank you for being our first teller.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So now we go to Alan Hall, who actually would like to share a message with you all to thank David. And he actually sent me a video recording of that message because for those of you who know Alan can talk a lot and he's saying yes now for those of you who can see him, and he can talk a lot.
I was threatened under pain of death.
No death, just dull words with no stories, an eternal waiting room. So he sent me a message, a video recording of this message, and I'm going to share it with you. And Alan, if you want to add something at the end, feel free to do it. I hope this works, otherwise you'll have to do it live. Okay. Can you see Alan?
Yes, we can.
Yes, perfect.
Hello everybody, this is a short message to say thanks to David for the year that's been, as weird as it has. This is the beautiful Ireland. Wet. Anyway, this is a message to say thanks for basically everything that's happened and the contacts through the Crest course. There's a community of, well, now friends who are happy to meet up online almost on a daily basis, if not weekly basis, from around the world. I know more people in Kathmandu now than I do in parts of Dublin, which is kind of cool. On top of that, this year I was lucky enough to meet some of the people in person, like Enadina, who we went around Sardinia and had this fantastic day where we sat in an abandoned village telling stories just completely on the fly, which simply never would have happened otherwise. On top of that, the contents of the course have been amazing because, you know, I've now got the confidence of doing that in public. I'm now talking on a phone in the freezing cold Ireland, online, and, you know, there's confidence in person. It's not just confidence in teaching, but now I can use storytelling in class, which I never really did until now. It just sort of came out. Whereas now it's like, okay, there's an entire class is going to be based on this. Which also means I now do book clubs as well, which has went down a storm with the kids, which has been great crack. On top of that, it's led to quite a lot of teacher training. I've done quite a lot of teacher training sessions with you know, public and private school teachers all around Italy and Ireland on storytelling, on book clubs, on mental health from storytelling, and I've a good few conferences coming up talking about the same thing as well. But I think the most important thing from all of it is it's just been great crack. The word crack, I'm using the direct translation of the word fun. It's been fun, it's been good crack, it's been really enjoyable, and there's going to be a lot more crack to be had. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Alan. Would you like to add something?
No, just to say thanks and a hello to everybody, because I've met some fantastic people here, and the energy off you guys is addictive, let's be honest. So thanks very much to absolutely everyone. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Alan. Now, I just want to welcome a few people who haven't actually been on a Crest course yet, but they're signed up for the next one, I think. So can we give a big Crest welcome to Sergey from Ukraine, and Gustafa in Peru, and Bantu in India. So I hope I've got your names right. No, I think it's maybe Banu's in India.
Jackie,
so welcome.
I've got to come in and just say these good people are not expecting to do the next course. They're just coming in because I've welcomed them to this event.
We shall see. We shall see.
It would be lovely if you come, Gustavo. It would be wonderful.
My apologies. But well, thank you anyway for coming, and we can't recommend the course highly enough, really. And I'm not getting paid to say that. Anyway, Thank you, Alan, for that. It's my pleasure now to introduce Simona, who is going to do her story. And as I said before, this is all her idea. And so far, Simona, I think it's just been grand. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Jackie. And bear with me, I'm really nervous, so I hope I get the story right. And I'm going to tell you a short story, which I learned from David himself. And but I won't tell you now why I chose this story. I'm going to tell you later. Okay. Long ago, two friends were walking in the desert. They had been walking in the desert for days and days. They were tired. They were hungry. They were thirsty, and there seemed to be no way out of the desert. At one point, they started quarreling, and one of them hit the other hard on the face. The friend who had been hit didn't say anything, but bent down and started writing in the sand. Here, my friend hit me. And then they started walking again, and they walked, and suddenly in the distance, they saw an oasis, and they started running towards him. And the friend who had been hit was the first one to arrive. He bent down to drink some water from the pond, but the sand was wet and carried him down. And help me, he started screaming to his friend. And his friend came rushing and pulled him out of the pond, saving his life. The friend who had been saved took a rock from the ground, and on a big stone nearby, he started to write something. It took him a long time to write his message in the stone. But when he finished, you could read, "Here, my friend saved my life." And friend who had saved his life and who had hit him he didn't understand what was going on. So he asked, "Why? When I hit you, you wrote your message in the sand. And now, when I saved your life, you wrote your message in the stone." "Well," said the other, "when you hit me, I wrote my message in the sand, and soon the wind of forgiveness blew away. And then now I wrote my message in the stone because it will be here forever." And I chose this story because I wanted to say a big thank you to David, because everything you did for us will be written in stone. And sorry, I'm just terrible at this. Thank you very much. So I'll pass the microphone now to Beverly with another message.
Hello, can everybody hear me all right? So that was a beautiful story, Simona. That was really lovely. And definitely, I wholeheartedly agree with everything that everybody has said so far. It's really been an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this CREST community. And I'd like to be, one of my resolutions is to be a more active member of this larger CREST community this year coming up. But I think one thing I just wanted to tell you, David, just to comment on, is something that I've taken away from the course and kind of integrated into my life, is the fact that something I observed during both the CREST courses that I've taken with you, and also in the communication with this larger community, is just the way that you lift people up. I think that's something that I've really noticed. And during the course, there were people who were not very confident in their storytelling skills, but also people that had been telling stories for so long, so many years of experience telling stories, but you just managed to find the right words in your feedback to us, find the right words to kind of lift us up, but also to push us forward in our storytelling. And I think also the championing that you do of us in the greater community, the work in the storytelling that we're doing outside of the courses, is just something that this support and this encouragement is something that I'm I've always strived to do it in my work with students and teachers, but I think since being a part of this community and seeing you put this into action, I think hopefully I'm becoming more thoughtful and more consistent in my championing of students and colleagues and friends and family. So I just wanted to, that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. That was beautifully put. And I would just echo that and say, you know, that I think it is that encouragement to go out there and to connect with people and to learn from this wonderful community. Yeah, wonderful. Anyway, before I babble on, I'm going to pass on to Terry, who's going to give us a wee story, I think. Yes.
Hi. Okay. This is a very special day because we are all here. Thanks, David and Simona and Alan. And this is a special day for me too, because my son is leaving the country. He's moving to another country. So it is a day full of feelings. The story I chose is, I think it is the answer for this moment. The story I chose is, why are we here? So I will tell you the story. Nasruddin walked along the road, leaving his own land for the first time. He wondered how people would react to him, how people would treat him in this new land. Coming towards him, he saw 3 men riding horses. So he thought, could they greet him? Could they ignore him? Could they attack him? He became so afraid that he ran and climbed over the nearest wall and found himself in a graveyard. He hid there in the grave, trembling with fear. Seeing the stranger's initial behavior, the 3 men were curious, so they stopped. They climbed over the same wall and looked for him in the graveyard. They stood looking down and smiling at the trembling stranger in the grave. Please forgive us for asking, but why are you here? Nasruddin looked up at the 3 kind faces. That is a difficult question to answer. I am here because of you, and you are here because of me. So this is the story. Thank you, David.
That was beautiful, Tere. Thank you very much. And now we have a very special storytelling because, David, we are not only going to tell stories each on our own, but there's now an ensemble of storytellers who work together to give you this story. So a very special thank you and welcome to, well, Jackie, Alan, and Sue.
Oh, we had some fun with this. We had a lot of fun with this. So we are going to tell the tale of how stories first came into existence. So another one of our Genesis stories of how stories first came about. And this is thanks to Sue, who put this together and got Jackie and myself working hard on this. And we've had some fun. So we hope you enjoy it too. Trust me, you're going to love this, especially Jackie's part, because it's brilliant. Anyway, so once upon a time, there were no fairy tales. And that was really sad for children, because it was like the most beautiful butterfly missing from a garden, or the brightest jewel being missing from a crown, or missing a drop of Uska Brecha from the west of Ireland. So in a kingdom, possibly Kerry, Far, far away, two children were playing in their dad's garden. The garden was full of beautiful flowers. Its paths were sprinkled with colourful stones, and the dew sparkled on the flower beds. There were little alcoves in the garden that had rippling springs, fountains rushing up to the sky, beautiful marble columns everywhere, seats with great views you could read a good book in. Gold and silver fish swam in the ponds. There were large golden birdhouses where the most beautiful birds fluttered, and other birds hopped and they flew freely and sang songs with lovely voices. But the two royal children had this, and well, they saw it every day. They were tired of the splendor of the stones, the scent of the flowers, the fountains, the fish, the bird song. They didn't understand it. The children sat together quietly and were sad. They had everything a child could wish for. They had good parents, and they had tasty food, they had drink, they were allowed to play in this garden every day. But they were missing something. They were sad, but they didn't really know what. So their mother, who was the queen, she was a beautiful, noble woman, very friendly face, came to them, and she was grieved. Her children were sad, and they only smiled wistfully instead of flying towards her with joy when they seen her. She was sad because they're kids. They aren't supposed to have any worries. The sky of youth is always a cloudless one. The queen sat down with the two children, who were a boy and a girl, and wrapped her arms around them, and she asked, motherly and lovingly,
Was fehlt euch, meine lieben Kinder?
what are you missing, my dear children? I don't know, ma.
Guy Dulcim, mother.
The queen asked, a tear came into her eye, which was a soul of goodness smiled.
Es ist so schön hier in diesem Garten und ihr habt alles, was euch Freude machen kann. Macht es euch denn keine Freude?
It's so beautiful here in this garden, and you have everything you can bring you joy. Don't you enjoy it?
Well, you would think we would, mother, but we don't seem to enjoy it the way we should.
We want something, but we don't know what we want, ma. The mother remained silent and pondered what the children wanted. What could they want more than the splendor of this garden, their beautiful clothes, the amount of toys, the food, the drink? She didn't find in her thoughts what she was looking for. The queen spoke quietly to herself with a soft sigh.
Wäre ich nur selbst wieder ein Kind, dann fiele mir wohl bei, was Kinder froh macht.
Oh, if only I were a child again, then I would probably notice what makes children happy. In order to understand children's desires, one must be a child themselves. But she had already wandered too far from the land of youth, where golden birds fly through the trees of paradise, those birds that have no feet because they never tire or need earthly rest. The mother sighed and said,
Oh, käme doch ein solcher Vögel her und brachte meinen traurigen Kinder, was sie glücklich macht.
oh, if such a bird came here and brought to my dear children that which makes them so happy.
Well, it is, just like a queen had wished, a furling bird soared hicha beener in a blue lift. And out of it come a most amazing sight. It was like golden flames and shimmering gemstones. A bird hovered, saying it come down and down and down, and a queen saw it, and a bairn saw it. They gollered in amazement. They couldn't find any other words. Well, a bird was a most wondrous sight. It floated aye lower and lower, shimmering and shiny in its glorious rainbow-coloured sparkle. It near blinded them, but they couldn't look awa. It was captivating. Thon bird was as bonny, it a queen and her bairns growed with joy. It come at close, they could feel the fluttering of its feathers. And afore the kind if it had happened, a birdie had landed recht in a queen's lap. It looked at the bairns. Its een were friendly, like bairns een, but there was something in thon een that the bairns didn't really understand. Something queer, a bit scary even, so they didn't dare touch a bird. And now that it was up close, they could see that aneath thon bonny, shiny feathers, thon queer, unearthly bird had a puckle deep, dark feathers and all. But the bairns hardly had a chance to take a close-up look at it. This miraculous bonny bird started to lift up off the Queen's lap and get awa hine up into the lift. Thon feetless bird o' paradise hovered, sparkled, syne flew hicker and hicker, till it was just like a single feather floating awa in the distance. Syne a streak o' golden licht afore it disappeared altogether. As time, the Queen and her bairns stared open-mouthed. Mighty, fin they looked down again though, they were fair taen aback. Lying on the Queen's lap was a golden egg. It shimmered and glinted like a northern lichts, as bonny as the most mystical Labrador stein, or the bonniest pearl for the depths of the ocean. Royal bairns gollert as though for ae moo. Oh, an egg, a bonny egg! The Queen smiled. Her heart was gladdened. This mun be a jewel that was aye missing for her bairns' happiness. Inside thon magic-coloured shell, there mun be something that would gie the bairns that they were looking for. Something that would satisfy their longing and do awa with their dulsome grief. The bairns couldn't get a neuch o' the magnificent egg, but in the beginning, they didn't dare to touch it. But after a while, a Quine raxed out her wee rosy finger and touched it. Oh, it's warm! Well, her brother, Canny raxed out his hand and touched it. And syne the Queen, her slender, tender white hand, touched it and all. And you'll never guess what happened.
Well, the shell split in half. And from this egg came out a being wonderful to behold. It had wings, but it was not a bird. It was not a bee, it was not a butterfly, it was not a dragonfly. It was all of these things. It was indescribable. In a word, it was the beautiful, colourful children's happiness. It was always a child. It was the miracles bird's imagination. It was the fairy tale. And now the mother no longer saw her children sad, because from then on, the fairy tale always remained with the children, and they did not get tired of it, as long as they remained children. And since they had the fairy tale, their gardens and the flowers and the arbors and the caverns and the nooks and the crannies and the woods and the forests and the birds and the fish became even more dear to them, because the fairy tale brought everything to life for the pleasure of the children. The fairy tale even lent its wings to the children, and they could fly all over our wonderful world. And yet, at the blink of an eye, they could be back home safe. Now, those royal children, they are us. They are us in our fantasy world when we were children. And their mother is Mother Nature, who wished from the heavens this magnificent bird with its magnificent gold feathers, with a little bit of deep darkness in it. And then this bird came and it put the fairy tale egg into her lap and into our hearts. And just as children still dearly love fairy tales, which embellish their lives every day and delights them with thousands of fantasies and adventures as it flies over houses and huts, over castles and palaces, and sometimes even over Parliament in England. So the fairy tale also brings joy and magic to us, the adults, provided that we keep a little bit of that magic with us from the garden of our childhood, namely the innocence and the belief of a child. And I think one of the talents given to us by this fairy tale are muses, special muses, like our teacher David, who every time he tells us a story, takes us to another world, immerses us in another fantasy, and yet allows us to turn home and feel safe and feel cherished. So David, from all of us, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. And can I say thanks to Alan and Sue for letting me be part of something that was great crack. Good fun. Yes. Well, we're going to move on to Diana now. And Diana, I think you're all set to share your screen. Hopefully that will work beautifully.
Hi all. Hi all my Christy friends. I'm so happy to see all of these friends here, actually in Edina, Susan, Terry, Ellen, and all of you. We have here in Palestine very severe weather, so I can't share my screen, but I always have a plan B, don't worry. I'm so grateful and a pleasure to be with you today. And I'm one of the teachers who enrolled in Christ courses for free. I'm a Palestinian teacher, not only for Christ, but also David gave me the opportunity to enroll in Beyond the Christ, to know all of these people, to learn a lot of techniques. And I make sure to transfer all of these techniques to other teachers and other students. One of the powerful stories that I would like to talk about, it's called The Bridge. David told it to me, and it was really powerful and related to my reality. I want to tell you, David, you are the bridge. You connected Palestinian teacher with the other words first, and you helped me to connect with my students using storytelling strategies. So I will share one of the picture that after I told the students the story of the bridge, I asked them to draw the bridge. And here you have another name, David, the bridge. Thank you for your support. I'm so grateful and so lucky and blessed to be one of your students and the teacher that you train. Lots of love from Palestine.
Thank you very much, Diana, for your words. And I'll pass now to Manuela, who's going to tell us a story about a tiger.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello, David. And yes, I remember in one of our last meetings, hello, Barbara C. Hello, Diana. There's so many people I haven't seen for a while. It's great to Sarah. I can't mention you all, but it's great. And this is what Crest does, brings us back together, even when life acts itself up and gets in the way of things. So I'll tell you why I chose this story after the story. But it is a tiger story because David did send out an invite to search for tiger stories. And it wasn't easy, David, to find a tiger story that you hadn't told us. So it's from the printed world. It's not from the oral storytelling, and so it's my experiment to take that into the oral way of telling stories. So the story is about a Siberian tiger. I couldn't not start a story without a puppet. Those of you know me, I have a house full of puppets. So, and his name is Augustus. He's a very important tiger, yeah? But in my story, Augustus is sad. He's very sad. He's lost his smile. Can you smile? Let me see your biggest, wonderful smile. Yay. But poor Augustus had lost his. So he did one of his tigery stretches. Let's stretch like a tiger. Yay. And went searching for his smile. First, he looked under a cluster of bushes and he found a wee shiny beetle. But did Augustus find his smile? No, he didn't find his smile. So he continued on his search, padding his way. He climbed up a very tall tree and heard the birds chirping and saw them singing and hopping from branch to branch to sing. Can you hear them? But did Augustus find his smile? He didn't find his smile, and he was sadder and sadder. But he didn't give up. He kept walking and walking until he climbed and scaled the largest mountain, right up to the crest of the largest mountain, like a tiger does. And there he played with the swirling clouds and made frost images in the sky and played with the snow. But did Augustus find a smile? Mm-mm. He continued his search and he walked and he walked and he walked and he walked until he reached the deepest ocean. He dived into the water and splashed with a shoal of tiny, shiny fish, millions of them, and he splashed and played in the water with them. And can you hear them? Yes. And that was Augustus playing with a tiny, shiny fish. But did he find a smile? No, he didn't. So he continued and he walked until he reached the largest desert, and he padded across the desert, making tigery shapes in the shadows. But did he find his smile? Mm-mm. And then, as he walked in search of a smile, suddenly, listen, can you hear? Pitter patter, drip, drop. Plop! It was raining. Augustus loved the rain. He started dancing and prancing and jumping in the puddles and singing in the rain. I'm singing in the rain, da 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 da. But did Augustus find his smile? until he pounced and pounced. He saw a huge silvery blue puddle. He pounced over there and looked down. And right there, under his nose, what did he see? His smile. Yay! Augustus found his smile. He realized it was there all the time. All he had to do was travel, go up the mountains and the trees around the world. And the beauty around us is there, waiting for us. Augustus was so happy. He pounced and paraded and went off, hippie, hopping and singing with a smile. Thank you. I chose this story because I had met David many moons ago at Heathfield, but during the pandemic, I was searching for something. I was like we all were, and I bumped into David, and with his magic, it's gone. His magic ball. You've got it behind you, David, and I've got one, but mine keeps bouncing about. And before the pandemic, I spent approximately 180 days of my year traveling, and I was stuck. I was stuck in every sense, not just with work, but with everything. And thanks to David and his magic storytelling and the Crest course, you allowed me to see the world, although I was sitting at home, and to believe in myself again, and to just look under my nose and find my smile again. So thank you, David. Thank you, Crest storytellers. And you keep doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuela. Well, I think we've all found our smile after that. Not that we'd lost it before, because we're all very smiley people, but that was just joyous.
Thank you.
A real treat for all the senses. Now, I think Amna, you're up next. And it's a recorded message from Amna, isn't it, Simona? Yeah, okay. We shall let the technology do its business. And while someone is doing that, I'll just say, yes, Gustova, I think stories have seen us all through this pandemic. Oof.
Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Hello, everyone. I have a short presentation on David Heathfield, who's our storytelling mentor and teacher. I have exactly 5 minutes or less. Jackie and Simona made it very clear. So some of the options, if I don't complete it within 5 minutes, is that I'd be sent to a dark void for the rest of eternity, or I could possibly be sent to an eternal Zoom waiting room. And the third one, which is even worse than the first two, I could be sent to a dull world without stories. I was looking for oral stories, and one of the things I came across was a recent video that was shared. Loved how interactive it was, what the messaging was, what the story was. I'll play the last couple of minutes of it.
During the coronavirus, a lot of the news that we hear on the television, on the radio, on the internet, it's very worrying. I would like to say, I have faith all will be well. But I think this story can help us to look at things from different ways. At the beginning of this lesson, I asked you, are you feeling optimistic or pessimistic? I hope this story offers you some kind of hope, even though we're going through difficult times in the world, and some of us might experience difficulty and loss. There will be a time when we'll look back and we'll think, well, that time has passed, and we can look forward to something easier or positive. And hopefully we can learn something from this whole experience. When I'm together with you, young people from Ecuador, from Nepal, from Palestine, from Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina. When I'm with you, I have so much hope for the future, because it's you that are the future. And with you, as citizens of the globe, when you get older, I have faith all will be well. All will be well. So with that, I say thank you all.
David was offering these courses, so that's creative and engaging storytelling. So I signed up for it in March of 2021. And these were the wonderful people I was with. And it was amazing just to experience this sense of community. And it led to something that I created for service providers in my field called Tapping into Resiliency Through Storytelling. And I'll just read one of the quotes that we got as a review. I think when I registered for this workshop, I assumed it would be more geared to working with children to that was covered. And although there were several stories that were introduced, which ultimately can be shared with children, the messages within these stories is for our own growth as well. And storytelling and David's encouragement is what made it possible. This was part of my mini project for the CREST course. June 2021, I was invited as with 43 other people to be part of Around the World in 88 Tales. While doing some of the work and courses with David, the Around the World and 88 Tales and beyond the CREST course, it gave me a chance to look into my own family history. I remember that my grandmother used to tell us a lot of stories, but I never made the connection between my family history and storytelling the way I did because of the prompts from the course. This was the wonderful group of people I was with, and it really, really empowered us to do mini projects that were very relevant. One of the mini projects was creating another workshop called Gentle Heroes, looking at stories of men as nurturers. But one of the things that really supported us Around the World in 88 Tales was a quote that David had shared from Enadina: storytelling, departure. Now you are alone on the sea of the story, alone with your listeners. No one can come to your aid, neither your mobile phone, nor the internet, nor your friend. You are the captain of the ship. You have put your listeners on. They totally depend on you. Don't you see how they look at you? So do not worry. You know the winds. You have studied the route. You have command of the ship, which you will be able to bring back to port safely. In November 2021 is when I shared my grandmother's story. So this was so special to me to be part of this project, to have that family connection, to make alive a story that would have died out with my grandmother, and then to share it with the whole world. And as you can see, this is the Padlet for the project, which is again a great resource for hearing so many different storytellers from all over the world. And then one thing I discovered recently, I had written something about my own storytelling journey, but I decided at the time not to share that and instead do that resiliency through storytelling. But during this time in December, I had the courage to share that document with David just as an email saying, you know what, this is one of the things I was working on, but I never sent it to you. When David read this, he said immediately that I should think about having it published. And he gave me an example of a magazine, HLT, that publishes material by teachers of English language, which I'm not, but he really encouraged that many of the things that I talk about and the people that I work with have English learning needs. So this article could be something that the magazine might agree to, and they did. So this should be published in June. And lastly, I want to thank David for giving us wings as storytellers to travel around the world. I'm just one of the students, and this is the story of many, many of us. The encouragement that we have from David to spread our wings, to travel, to see the world, to be seen by the world is just out of this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Amna, for your message. I don't know, is Amna here? I can't see her. Oh, yes,
I'm
hello.
here.
Would you like to add something to your message?
You know, I'm already over 5 minutes, so I want to keep it brief. I really enjoyed making this presentation. You know, I don't know how much we'll be able to do. This was just 1 year of work with David, and it's just amazing to be part of this community, to see the growth in all of us. Yeah, thank you.
Amna, can I just say, did you realize that the person you quoted, Enadina, is here with us? You know Enadina.
Yes.
So thank you for that quote, Enadina. It's a fantastic quote.
Hi, Amna.
Hi, Enadina.
Thank you, David the Bridge.
So thank you, Amna. Thank you, Enadina. And I'm very excited for the next story, because when I started my storytelling journey with David, I met this personal line in the group. There was this person who published her stories, and I started watching her stories in English and in Doric, and I just fell in love with her storytelling. And I'm so proud that she helped me with this event. So the next storyline is from Jackie Ross, who will amaze us with her storytelling skills.
Well, I can't promise that, Simona, but thank you very much for such a kind introduction. So I've got some people lined up to join in with this story, and anybody who feels the urge may copy and join in too. Okay, it should be obvious, I hope, as we go on. It's a very short story, and I'm going to do it in English because you've already had my Doric today, so we'll keep it in English this time. Once upon a time, there was a storyteller, but the storyteller was sad and lonely. She'd no one to tell stories to. Like everyone else in the land, she was forbidden to go outside and meet with others. But one day, as if by magic, she heard about a storytelling teacher who was creative and engaging and spreading the word about stories all around the globe. He was zooming here and zooming there without leaving the safety of his own home. Could it be true? Was this some sort of magic? She decided to find out. She got on the crest course and rode the wave. It was a kind of magic. The storytelling teacher generously shared his wisdom, and on that very first encounter, he gave our sad and lonely storyteller something special, really special, something that touched her heart. Share this, he said, and she did. Here it is.
It's here too.
And it's here too.
And it's here too.
And I think it's here with all of us today. It was passed on to each and every one of us, shared by all of us. So our sad and lonely storyteller was no longer sad and lonely. She might not be able to meet her neighbour down the street, but now she had neighbours right across the globe. She was part of a community of worldwide citizens united by their common humanity and their love of stories. And that is powerful magic. Thank you for the magic, David. Oh, and then I think I have to introduce the next person, Simona, don't I? Okay, who's next? Oh, Jean. Now, it's going to seem as though we had planned this perfectly, because would you believe it? The story that Jean is going to tell is The Bridge. Over to you, Jean.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And I feel so fortunate that I met David in a storytelling workshop in Mumbai. And he said, there is this class I'm giving called Crest. And that was the beginning of this journey. And this story I'd like to share with you is one that does come from Appalachia in southern US, but I know long before that it came from perhaps where David is sitting, or Jackie, where you are sitting, because these stories traveled. Once, there were two farmers that were best friends. They had grown up together. As small children, they had played and run and sang and danced together in the fields where they lived. Well, as time went on, they built their houses right next to each other, and their animals grazed on the same hillside. They had sheep and goats, they had horses, and all was well between them. One day, however, the one farmer said to the other, that baby lamb at the back of your flock, that is mine. Of course, it's not yours. Look, it's following its mother. It's my lamb. No, that's mine. The two of them began to fight. In fact, they were so angry they almost had fisticuffs. In that moment, they turned away. They turned their backs on each other. Each went home. They did not speak. From that moment on, for days, for weeks, for months, for years, they did not speak. It was as if they had never known each other. Late one day, a tall stranger came over the hill, carrying on his back many heavy tools. The farmer recognized him as a carpenter and invited him in. Please, I need you to do something special for me. Would you build a wall? I want a wall that is higher than any sheep could jump over, any horse could jump over, a wall so high that not even a cat could climb over it, a wall so high I cannot see over it. The stranger said nothing, but he unpacked his tools and he began working. He worked all through the night. In fact, it was strange, the farmer thought, to have somebody work through the night. He could hardly sleep. In the morning, he got up, and the stranger was just departing. Are you leaving? Have you finished? But when the farmer went outside, what did he see? It was not a wall. It was a bridge that crossed over to his neighbor. And there came his neighbor towards him. Oh, my friend, thank you. Thank you for this bridge. I have wanted for so long to apologize, but what you have done inviting me to your home is more than I could wish for. Oh, the farmer, the first one, was at first embarrassed, ashamed, but no, he ran forward and he hugged his old friend. The two of them embraced and they shouted with joy and they danced and they sang on that bridge. And when they looked off in the distance, they saw the carpenter leaving. Oh, come back, please. For the first time, he spoke. I have many more bridges to build. Farewell, my friends. And he waved goodbye. Thank you. And thank you, David, for all you have given to us and the many bridges you have forged for us.
Thank you so much, Jean. That was wonderful. And now I'm going to go to Susanna, who's going to share a poem with us.
Hi everyone. So I've got a little poem that I've written for David. Poem, chant, rap, whatever you like to call it. Those of you that know me know I like to write little rhymes and poems and things. I'm always writing little little ditties and things. So this is about David. David, you are so cool. I wish you'd been my teacher when I was at school. David, what can I say? Your stories always brighten up my day. The Crest course really was the best. I met so many people from east to west. You were guiding, supporting, coaching, encouraging. Look at us now, our storytelling is flourishing. Page. Stories old and stories new. No one could do it better than you. You need no books to read your lines. It all comes from your creative mind. Keep the stories coming and rolling on. We'll be listening to them all for years to come. Thank you, David.
Oh, Sue,
short one.
I've so missed your chants and your right. Okay, we're gonna have to get together, Sue, just so we can hear some more. Sue, that was brilliant. Thank you, and so true. Yep. I think we have our final story coming up now, and Marika is gonna give us a wee tale. Is that right? I think so.
Yes, it is.
Yes. Excellent. Looking forward to it.
I kind of jumped in last minute with the story, so
perfect.
No time to get nervous. Once there was a big castle, and it was in the bleak of winter. Everything was covered in snow. There were little ice crystals hanging down the roof. But inside of this castle, there was a big and roaring fire, so everybody could stay warm. One day, the fire went out. And nobody really knew why this fire went out. There was still a lot of coal, there was wood, and they tried their best to keep the fire burning. But whatever they did, the flames went out, and it was just ashes. And so the king sent out one of his guards to go to the nearest house, so maybe to get some burning coals to ignite the fire again. And the guard put on his warmest coat and he went into the cold. Oh, it was freezing cold. And he made his way through the snow and he knocked at the door of the first house he came to. It was a big house and the captain of the king's guards lived here. And the captain of the guards opened the door and he said, "What do you want, guard?" And the guard said, "Oh, please, give me some coal so that we can keep the fire burning? And the captain of the guard said, let me think. Yes, you can have some burning coals. Put them in your metal bucket, but tell the king I want to be the commander of all his knights for helping him out when he needed me most. And the guard said, okay, your wish shall be granted if we can make the fire burning again. He went outside with his little bucket with the burning coals. But as soon as he started walking up to the castle, he saw that the light was burning out and all the coals were pitch black when he came to the castle again. So again, he went out and got to the second house that he found. It was a big farmhouse, and he thought, well, maybe they have a burning fire. He knocked on the door, and again he was opened, and there was a big farmer. Obviously, he had plenty of food during the winter, and there was warmth in the house. And the guard asked him, could I get some of your burning coals, please? The fire in the castle is running out. We need coals. And the farmer said, oh, yes. Let me count. This land that the king didn't want to give me last year, I want that, and I want that as my own. So take whatever you want, and I will get my land. The guard says, yes, okay. If you can keep the fire burning with your coals, your wish shall be granted. And he took the coals, and this time he tried to run back to the castle as fast as he could, because he knew the cold would burn down the coals too quickly otherwise. But when he came to the castle again and he looked at the coals, they were all black. There was no spark of light in them. Desperately, he went out again, and he walked through the snow, through the hailstorm that was coming up. And finally, he came to a little small hut. He knocked at the door again and was opened by a little girl. And he told the girl the story of the burned out fire. And the girl said, well, have a look inside. My father is gone out into the snow to find our sheep. I don't know when he comes back, but we have a little fire. Take what you need. And the guard looked at the fire and he saw it just consisted of 2 burning coals. And he said to the girl, if I take that, your fire will run out. And she said, well, it's a small fire, but we both can have a small fire with that, can't we? It's better than nothing, right? The guard felt a little bad to take one of the coals from the little girl, because he knew he had a bucket full of coals when he went last time up the hill to the castle, and now it was just one little coal. Still, he decided to do that, more to make the little girl happy that she could help than because he had any hopes of succeeding. But then something magical happened. When he went up the hill, he saw that the coal actually started burning brighter, giving up warmth. And when he came to the castle, his bucket was glowing with light and warmth. He brought it to the fireplace, and in no time, they had a big roaring fire again, and the whole castle got warm. And the guard and the king and all his men stood there wondering how this little coal could have ignited such a fire. Well, they asked themselves and they wondered, but I think I do not have to tell you why this coal did all the magic. Because if we share what we have, if we help without asking for reward, and if we give without asking anything in return, we spread a warmth that is stronger than the coldest winter. And I told this story because I want to thank you, David, for enabling us to spread our warmth and hope, even in the coldest winter. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marijke. That was a lovely story to end with. But next in line, I think we have a special performance by David itself, who has agreed to dance on polka, dressed in a princess dress for us. Isn't that right, David?
I actually thought you were joking, Simona, when you said that.
Why? No way, it was not joking. Where's your princess dress?
Can I tell you a story instead? Pues la primera cosa que quiero decir es bienvenido a Gustavo von Bischofshausen. Hello, Gustavo. I met Gustavo 3 days ago on Facebook. And Gustavo is a storyteller in Lima, in Peru. And we have a storytelling friend called Glenda Gallardo, but Gustavo doesn't know Glenda. He just happened across me somehow on Facebook. So a really big welcome, and thank you for staying with us today, Gustavo. It's great to welcome new people. And you are a member of the CREST community, even though you haven't done the course yet. And also, I want to say hello to Ali, and thank Ali, who's flying the magic carpet around the world today from Morocco. Thank you, Ali. And also Baba C, who, again, hasn't done the CREST course, but he knows many of us and has met many of us.
Yes, many.
Thank you for doing this at such short notice, Ali.
Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ali's in Marrakesh, in Morocco. And there are going to be people who are going to be watching this video as a recording, because I'm going to encourage all of you to share this because it's such a special event. So welcome to all of you who are listening to this, anytime, whenever. And this is for you to share with whoever you want to share it with. Wow, Jackie and Simona, and all of you, I'm just, well, thankful isn't the only word. You've all been saying thank you to me, but I just feel like I'm communicating and connecting people and helping to create this community. But it's not me, it's us. I'm just a facilitator. I think that's the main role I play. Yes, I like teaching. I like putting people in touch with each other. I like sharing ideas. And one thing I really appreciate about this CREST community is the range of people who are part of it, because we've had, very experienced, established professional storytellers taking this course, like Jackie Ross, like Sarah Carline, like Enadina Sana, Sui Yen Wong, Kathy, too many people to mention, and alongside people who have jumped into storytelling and it's been something completely new. Recently I ran a course, Elisa Pellegrino, thank you for being here, for a group of Simona's colleagues at International House in Milan, and some of them were really quite new to storytelling, and it was absolutely fine because they came with an open heart and willing to learn. And I think that the nature of the community, it's not about being an advanced or an intermediate or a beginner, but we can all learn from each other, and especially because of the range of cultures that you have brought. I mean, we've got Ahn Suk in South Korea is with us, and we've got, we've had so many people, and thank you, Diana, for being here and representing, the 12 teachers from Palestine who have been part of this course and deeply important part of this course. And wow, I mean, it's just incredible. Thank you all of you for being here. And I've got to just respond to what you've been what you've been showing. By the way, while you've been telling stories, I've been cycling like crazy. Can you see on my exercise bike? Because Ali, you know, the magic carpet is powerful, but it needed an extra boost. And I'm also cycling to encourage all the people listening tomorrow and whenever to just, also get involved in Crest. And because this is a fundraiser, isn't it, Jackie?
Definitely is, David, and it will be open.
Can I say something about that?
Yes, please.
Well, when I started the Crest course, one thing that was important to me was that people shouldn't be excluded from doing the course if they didn't have the means. And I was already a volunteer with the Hands Up project, working with teachers especially in Gaza and other parts of Palestine as well. So from the beginning, I had 2 free places for teachers in Gaza. And I built that in. You know, I was going to have some teachers that were paying and a couple of teachers who would not have to pay for the course fee. And that has continued. But what's been remarkable over the last few months is that people have been incredibly generous. I'm not going to name names. There are some people here who have been incredibly generous. There's one person in this room, I'm not going to give their name, who said, I want to pay my fee for a course and I want to pay for another person to do the course as well. And I was blown away. But that attitude has continued. So people who have the means and want to support other people have been doing that. And it's meant that, it's helping me to manage the financial side of things and to include more people. So we've had, as I mentioned, 12 people from Gaza or 11 from Gaza, 1 from outside Gaza in Palestine doing the course. We've had a few teachers from sub-Saharan Africa, and that's with the help of Harry Kucha, who's until recently the president of IATEFL, the International Association of Teachers of English as a Foreign Language. Harry's from Cameroon and is a lecturer, professor at Leeds University. And he, just this morning, he's communicating with a teacher who's also a rapper, Susan, a rapper, and a music artist in Benin in West Africa. And it's very likely, I'm hoping that, I think his name is Jacques, is going to be doing the course. If he doesn't do the course, there are a couple of other candidates. So, we've got a couple of, and I've been talking to Raja Abu Hassan from the Hands Up Project. No, I've given her the wrong name there. Really, Raja from the Hands Up Project. And Raja, there's going to be at least one place in the course that's coming up in February, going to a teacher from Hands Up Project. I've already enrolled a storyteller from India who works in voluntary capacity, who's going a subsidized place, because it's not only free places. There's, when people can't afford the full fee, I ask them, well, what's affordable? And we just talk openly about that. So that that's in place, and this kind of event is making this possible, that more and more people who otherwise would be excluded are able to do the Crest course. So I really, really appreciate your contributions. And I know you said you've already paid for 2 teachers. That's fantastic. But if we reach 3, that would be amazing as well. So just referring back to some of the stories, I mean, I've just been thrilled to, you hearing back, you telling some of the stories that you learned from me is a joy. I've been telling that story, Sarah, of how Anansi brought stories to the world for a long time, but I never get tired of that story, and you told it so beautifully. And Alan, thank you for your message. And I'm looking forward to co-hosting the storytelling event at this year's IATEFL event, storytelling event with Alan in Belfast in May. So that's going to be amazing. Simona, yeah, thank you. You are a blessing, Simona. You've just jumped in with storytelling over the last year. Thank you for sharing a story about blessings. And Yeah, Diana, again, thank you for being here. Diana is one of the most incredibly creative teachers I've ever come across. If you ever watch the videos that she shares on Facebook working with young children, it's just mind-blowing. The sheer joy of your storytelling and your children's sharing on social media never ceases to bring me absolute joy. Yeah. Beverly, yes. Very uplifting. Your story is very uplifting, and what you're doing in Portugal, you know, fantastic. Sharing those ideas, publishing about storytelling as well. You're very modest. You're a storyteller already. I know you are. Before you even met me, Terry. I mean, like, this is true for all of you. You're all storytellers. I'm just helping you along the way and making more connections. Terry in Argentina. Thank you. Yeah, I'm here because of you. And you're here because of me. Absolutely. Jackie Allen Sue, hearing Doric, hearing German in your story. This is what it's all about. It's not just about the English language. I love it when we're hearing stories told and celebrating minority languages as well, languages that are under threat. That's a really important thing. I'm hoping to be part of a project working with teachers in Borneo and working with indigenous languages in the near future. That's coming to fruition. As I sometimes do in Nepal as well. Manuela, yeah, we were all smiling. Manuela, thank you for the puppet and the smiles. Yeah, and Amna. Wow, what can I say about Amna? You know, amazing. You've got that wonderful piece of writing being published, and what you said, it really touched me in your presentation. Thank you so much. Yeah, and Jackie again, thank you, and Jean, the bridge. We're all bridges, and I think that's what we're all doing. We're all carrying these bridges with us, and yeah, keep building them. There are always more bridges to build. Sue the rapper, we miss your rhymes, Sue, and I think it's something we all know we're going to do more when we hear you inspiring us. And Marika, keeping the fire burning. Wow, what an absolute treat. Gosh. So, without further ado, I will finish with a story. It's a story that I learned recently from Norman Perrin, who many of you know. I think Norman mentioned that he might have heard a similar story from Babasi, so Babasi will tell me afterwards. Despina, who's here in the room. Glenda! Glenda, you're here. Glenda Gallardo is here from Lima.
Yes.
Glenda, can I introduce you to Gustavo, who's also in Lima? I'm putting you in touch.
Hola. Really?
Hola. Encantado, yes. Valentina, didn't you also live in Peru before?
Yes, for 5 years.
Well, no.
Sí, hopefully I will be back. Who knows?
Vamos a hacer fiesta peruana. Okay. So it's
sí, bueno.
Con mucho gusto, sí. Okay, so there's one more person who hasn't done the CREST course that I haven't mentioned, and I think we all need to give a big clap to Tammy Heathfield. And she doesn't need to do the course because she knows it all already. And I just want to mention somebody who was in the room but isn't anymore. You might have seen the name Sergey. And Sergey, I've known Sergey longer than any of you except for Tammy, because Sergey was a student that Tammy and I taught here in Exeter about 10, 12 years ago, and we stay in touch. And he just loves stories. So he was here for a while as well, enjoying your stories. Who haven't I mentioned? Ladies is here. Hi, Ladies in Belgium, and Elisa in Italy, and Despina in Greece, and who else haven't we said hello to? I think everyone we said hello to now. Sarah! Hi, Sarah in Italy. Yeah, fantastic. Anybody else who I haven't mentioned, who hasn't had a story told? And Nadine is here. Fantastic. Okay, so the story that I learned from Norman Perrin, and Despina challenges me to tell this gender without gender. So here we go. 3 siblings were given a challenge. Whichever one of you can build the greatest house, you will inherit everything. So the eldest sibling took the gold they were given and set off and bought wood, timber, oak, beech, even holly, and made a magnificent wooden house. At the same time, the second of the siblings bought stone and marble, and this sibling built a massive, powerful structure. Meanwhile, the third of the siblings had taken some gold and gone to a nearby village, and there in the village they invited people to a fiesta, to a celebration of stories and music and dancing. And this sibling gave some of the gold so that musicians could play and there could be some food and drink shared. And the sibling was invited into every house in the community. Well, a short time later, that same sibling went to another village in the land and did the same thing. While the other two were busy building, the third one was just going all around the land, starting parties and celebrations. But the more that this happened, the more stories, the more communities were built. When the 2 houses had been completed, the house of wood and the house of stone, the 2 eldest siblings said, look, we've finished. Which of us is going to inherit? And the parent came into the wooden house and said, well, this is indeed a fine structure. And then went into the stone house and, oh, this is a mighty building. And then the third of the siblings returned and the older 2 laughed. Look, this one hasn't built anything at all. But the parent said, that's not what I've heard. I've heard that you have been to every village in the land, and that every door in every home is open to you. Your house is so big it can't be measured. Yours is the biggest house of all, and you will inherit everything. But that third sibling thought, what do I need of inheritance? I've got it all already. Everything I need. Everything that we need. I nearly did it, Despina. I nearly did it without mentioning gender. Hey, anyway, that's a story to share. Thank you so much, everybody. And if you're watching this later, do think about joining in. There's a Crest course starting on the 5th of February on Saturdays and Sundays, 3 Saturdays, 3 Sundays, finishing on the 20th of February. I know that there's going to be some teachers from Greece. There's a teacher in Italy. There's going to be a teacher from India. There's going to be some teachers from Palestine, from Africa. It's going to be as culturally diverse and widespread as always. It's going to be magnificent. And we'll keep in touch. We're going to do many more activities. If you haven't joined already, join in the Padlet. And I'll hand back now very gratefully to Simona and Jackie. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, David. And so we've already mentioned this, but we did this, yes, to thank David, but also to raise some funds for teachers who can't afford to pay the price for the course. And I'm very, very happy to say that we've already raised £300. And it was a surprise for me as well. Just before the event, I opened the link to be able to send it here, and I was like, what? 300? Last time I checked, it was 240, something like that. And so thank you very much to everybody for your generosity. And if you'd like to contribute, the page will still be open for a few days. Is that right, Jackie? Yeah, so, and thank you very much for being here. It was a wonderful event. I don't know if anybody...
Can I just say, Simona, that if people don't have the link, if you contribute at the World Storytelling Cafe under my name, David Heathfield, it goes into my pocket and out the other end of my pocket and into people doing the course. So feel free to donate in that way as well, if you don't have the Just Giving link.
Exactly, yes. I don't know if anybody else wants to add something last minute. Otherwise, I think we'll say bye. Oh, Babasi, of course.
This has probably been the longest I have ever been quiet in my life.
Excuse me.
And those that know me know I speak the truth. Although I do know how to be quiet. I'm in awe. I'm in sheer awe. I am honored, and you guys have heard me say honored and humbled, but I am honored and humbled. This assemblage, this grand assemblage, I'm almost speechless. I got the time conversions mixed up, and I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, American time, Eastern Standard Time, because I thought we were doing this at 5 a.m. my time. But I knew I couldn't go back to bed. I'm so glad I didn't. This is just wonderful. The bridge between students and teachers. David, you have created and continued something very, very, very special. And the love and respect that your students have for you, I know it's mutual. I can feel your smile and your energy. I felt the smile and energy from each and every one of you. I almost jumped up and danced, but I can't dance. The last time I danced, the blind neighbor told me to sit down. So thank you. And David, I love the stories about 3 siblings. Perrin and I both tell stories about siblings. You almost made it gender-free. You were this close, but that's okay. That you'll get it the next time around. That's the wonderful thing about storytelling. So I just wanted to share my energy that you guys have given me. I was supposed to be going to sleep after this. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So asante sana, merci beaucoup. Thank you. In all of your languages, in your mind, you're hearing me say thank you in your native tongues. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And maybe I should take the course.
You're very welcome, Babasi. You're very welcome.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to go back to being quiet and just sit here in awe.
Thank you, Babasi. And I just want to, once again, David already has, but can we thank Ali, please, for at very short notice, getting the carpet rolled out and giving us a wonderful flight. It's been spectacular. And once more, thank Simona, whose idea this was, and what a brilliant idea. Thank you to everyone who got up at silly o'clock in the morning, whether they were in the Americas or really late, MD here really late at night, probably. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And the last big round of applause is to David, who
Yes.
Bye.
Gracias.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Until the next time, to be continued.
Hasta la vista.
To be continued. Hasta la vista.
Oh,
Saludos a todos. Bye bye.
Bye, and thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Glad we had this time together.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Whoa.
Well done, Quine. Simona, that was great. Well done.
Thank you.
Ali, you can stop streaming now.
Okay.
Oh, this